Hello, my name is Grian, and today I'm going to be showing you a bunch of garden decoration tricks and tips. So this is a bit of an extension from a video that I did on gardens before. However, me and the crew have produced this walkway of garden immersiveness. So do try and ignore the giant wall of leaves that separates the immersion from the expanse of a creative world. So, let's begin. So a good place to start is with the pathway itself. Now these three blocks work really well together because they're very similar colours, but the textures are different, so they work really well. They break up the path for your eyes and you don't sort of just merge it all into one, and it just looks really nice. Merging textures that work well together is a very important tip for building in general. However, for paths, it's almost essential. Coarse dirt and dirt work really well together, that kind of thing. And you can't have escaped your noticed that there are buttons on the floor. Now, to people that aren't that creative, or perhaps are more narrow-minded, would think, why are there loads of buttons on the floor? But to the interpretive eye, you can see that they could be stones on the floor. Now, I see them as stones on the floor, other people see them as buttons. It is all up to interpretation. What matters is what looks good to you. So, the next thing to sort of point out is the general leaves and flowers. Now, you may be thinking, like, why are you talking about leaves and flowers? This looks so simple. And it is. It's simple. And it's a mess. I get that. But leaves and flowers make up the majority of our walkway, so it's very important for me to talk about them. If you get a bunch of flowers and leaves, you need to know how to place them effectively. Now these look like really messily placed, but you would walk past them and probably not even bat an eyelid. That's because they work in the environment and they produce an atmosphere. Everything here, although looks rather squidged together, creates that garden atmosphere, and that's what we really need to create. So, with the flowers, you can see that the taller ones are at the back, followed by sort of a backing of leaves, and then the shorter are at the front, and it disperses to almost nothing, so that you can see the gradual gain in height, even if it is only a block. It makes all the difference. And this is the sort of thing that you need to do. You need to funnel the builder or whoever is walking through your garden as if they are walking through the path, so everything funnels outwards. And over on the other side, we have a pond. Now, ponds are so underused in gardens and everything, pretty much. They work so well in a multitude of situations. They're just bodies of water with lily pads, reeds, and maybe even a simple water feature. And they just work really well. And again, you'd walk past this and it would just seem like it was in place. So as we move along, we can see that we have these little features that on their own would look a bit weird perhaps, but in context of everything they look pretty good. A garden bench, another fine addition, nothing too crazy here, I'm pretty sure everyone knows how to make one of those, but one of the things that is essential to your garden are these custom made trees. Now custom made trees could be the video all of their own, however, I don't have the time to do a video on them right now. However, in the future, perhaps if you want to know a little bit more about how we make these shaped trees, but I'm sure you can look at them and replicate that really easily. But if you wanted like these small time handmade trees, I'd be happy to go over them in a little bit more detail. However, learning how to make these custom made trees and utilizing the shape and making them look droopy, perhaps even drooping over into the pathway itself, are really good ways of immersing whoever's walking through your garden. So you can also see, as we go along the pathway, all of these leaves, they mimic the shape of the path, again, funneling you along. And these fences, again, the same thing, with lights, again, very important. So now we've come up to a piece of landscaping. Now landscaping is very important. You'll notice that pretty much everywhere else has been fairly flat. And the utilization of the Y coordinate is one of the things that people struggle with the most. A simple block in height or depth downwards is really useful. So even just this one block upwards makes a huge difference, and we're able to decorate it with some blocks, and I personally would go for perhaps cobblestone because I feel like it would integrate better, but perhaps it would merge too much with the pathway, who knows. the log is a really good choice, and you can decorate it with some benches, tables. Of course, you would have to acquire this through World Edit. Hopefully you have that, or even command blocks. Command blocks can do the same. They're magic. You know what? People who use command blocks and understand them to a T, it's almost like those people got a letter from Hogwarts, but they were like, nah, I just want to use command blocks. I'm going to use my magic on Minecraft, because to me, like, command blocks are just pure magic. I can't fathom them. So yeah, let's continue. Again, more handmade trees, this time utilizing oak fences as a sort of base of the log, instead of these normal blocks here, which are thicker. So that's just to make it a little bit thinner. So let's continue along. We've got more leaves and more decoration with flowers, and you can see, look, placed on coarse dirt, backed by some leaves, that gradual increase in height, all the same thing. And then we've got more handmade trees utilizing fences again, and these shaped trees are very, very good. So let's continue along. More handmade trees, but this time we've got a nice little swing on it. Very easy to do. And again, more flowers and stuff. Don't have to be too precise with how you place them. Now, this here. This is wonderful. This is a really well-made statue. It's small, and it's hard to make organics in a small area. Now, this is open to interpretation, which is what I love about it. Someone in the crew made this, and if you can see it correctly, it's a thinker. It's the statue, the famous statue of the man thinking on the toilet. I think it's the toilet. Or it's like a rock or something, I don't know. But it's a very famous statue, and you can see it, or I can see it. Perhaps you're just seeing a mess of stone brick and stone blocks, but I can see it. Here, let me see if I can point it out for you. So there's a leg there, there's another leg there, it goes round the thigh, and there's the back with the shoulder, an arm, and then there's another arm which reaches up to his head, and I'll try and like circle around it a little bit to see if you can see the thinker. Now, this is wonderful. If you are able to create these small organics for your garden, or like a palace garden or something, wherever it would fit, people will pay attention, because people will be looking at that like it's a real piece of art and be like, wow, I can see it, and it's really clever stuff. I'll give it another little twirl because it's really nice to look at. So let's continue along. We've got these sort of very simple stone structures. Now you could put these all over your garden, but maybe just one or two, they really, really work. Just utilizing the different textures that break it up a little bit, using the shapes offered by cobblestone wall and the stairs, really make that lovely to look at. And you can add benches, water features. I'm not going to go too much into the water features. Hopefully my fountain tutorial is coming back into mind, but you can make a little fountain in your garden if you so wish. But you can see the landscaping here is coming to effect. Again, this gradual increase in height as the further you get away from the path. Really, really important. Pretty much everything here has been that gradual increase in height as you go away from it. So, another custom tree, utilizing custom heads. If you can get your hands on a plugin that will allow you to use Minecraft heads, they're really invaluable for building. Look, you've got an apple tree here. It just immerses you even further. So let's continue. We have a custom-made river. Now, often your garden will not be big enough to have a river in it, but if it does, make one. You can have a bridge over it. It doesn't have to be quite as big as that. You could just have a very simple one, utilizing just wooden slabs to go over. And of course, you could make little organics with a duck or whatever you fancy on it, a swan or whatever. And you of course can landscape a little bit, utilizing just normal dirt and vines and that kind of thing. And you can see how these have been decorated by hand, of course. All these vines are individually placed, and the lily pads and everything. This is meant to be a sort of shrubbery that grows over the river, perhaps if you couldn't understand what that was there. All things that make it more immersive. Now we're going to step away from the conventional garden decorations now, and make our way to some of the more obscure things. Although this isn't the first one, this is a pit here, a fire pit, just an open one where you can sit on the logs, and you can have an open fire here. But we have some organics made of leaves. Now obviously in very high-end gardens, such as like palaces and all that kind of stuff and mansions, you get leaf made like organics. So we got an elephant here, let's see if we can work out what this is. Dog maybe, a lion there, giraffe, all very simple. You can see that these haven't taken up much space and they work. I could tell what they were, perhaps maybe this one was a little bit hard, but you get the idea. And also, this is the first time, but it's been flat for most of the video. However, this simple rise by one block, that one block, it just breaks up the Y coordinate and just helps funnel the walker or whoever's going through really nicely along the path. And you can see this half slab here just stops the player stopping and jumping, just creates a really smooth transition. Again, another important feature. So we're moving into a more oriental design because the Japanese culture has a lot of gardening involved in it, and I thought, why not include it in this video? So the crew have created this like little shrine here. Now, the buildings aren't too important. I'd love to try and do an oriental video at some point. However, oriental stuff is really not my strong suit, so I'll have to give it a miss until I feel a little bit more comfortable building it. However, we do have a Zen Garden here. Now, the rake is a little bit out of scale, but look how clever this is. So, as most of you will probably know, Zen Gardens are just like this little area that they rake. I honestly don't understand the culture, but this is just such a cool trick, it had to be done. So you got lots of sand and stuff in here and some rocks for balance or something like that. But the rake is a little bit out, but look how sandstone stairs has been utilized to make it look like the rake has been dragged through the sand, and the texture here actually makes it look like it's been dragged. I really, really love this, and you can see like you could just do it the whole way if you wanted to. Really, really cool stuff. So let's head straight through the shrine. You can see you could even do different coloured blocks for the cherry blossom tree or whatever tree you want. Just it could be a blue tree, a green tree, yellow tree, whatever you fancy doing for your garden, whatever fits. And of course we'll walk through the shrine and we'll go through here to our final section, which is a little bit more of a modern taste. So the first thing we're encountered by is this thing made out of wooden trapdoors. Now normally these don't stand up on their own, which is why we've had to use barrier blocks to kind of cheat this to get this to float, you know. But you can't put leaves around it, but it might make a nice little garden entrance. So we got these like little walled features here, nothing too fancy, but again, you could walk past it, not even bat an eyelid. And sort of expanding on the wooden trapdoor entrance thing, we have these, I don't know what they're called, but these extra sort of overhead gardens, utilizing the different kinds of leaves, which is really important, and these custom heads with a nice shape made out of fence gates and oak fences, and then just some supports at the bottom. They really make a nice shape to utilize these blocks to make it look like there's stuff growing overhead, and it's a really man-made structure, nothing natural about this. Most of the time you can make gardening look semi-natural, but also a little bit too neat for natural growth. And of course you can also make, you know, farms and stuff very easy to do. However, if you want to put wooden trapdoors on farmland, you do have to have world edit, so that's just another thing to mention. You can have these sort of like swinging benches. I didn't actually find a cool way to connect it, but perhaps you can. But yeah, you get the idea. Nice little swinging bench. We got loads of these over in the UK. And this is just an enlarged version of the one over there. But again, you have to use barrier blocks, so if you have access to them, give it a shot. And we're on to our final thing, which is time for me to take a rest on the pergola-based sort of, I don't know, natural stepping stone to a nice bench where I can take a rest, because that is the end of all of my decoration tricks for this video. So big thank you to all of my team that helped me out with this video. They did quite a lot of the designs here and helped put them together. And you can create this lovely immersive walkway, or you know, just a garden in general. And I hope you've enjoyed this format. Talking live is a lot harder than voicing over, as I discovered, so tell me if you prefer my voiceovers because they're better, or you prefer the live one because you get a little bit more personality out of me. So, I'd love some feedback on this style of producing videos. So, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye!